From time immemorial, man has been striving for freedom. Deep down, each of us wants to be beautiful, strong, harmonious. Alas, few people manage to achieve this. Those who have succeeded have written their names in history forever. What prevents us from becoming what we want to be? The answer is simple: our thoughts. And not those that we realize, but those that lurk in the depths of our subconscious. They are so deeply hidden that we can only guess about their existence by indirect signs, analyzing our reactions to certain events. These hidden springs pull the strings, forcing us to act in a certain way. We are like puppets, controlled by invisible puppeteers, our own thoughts. And it happens unnoticed by us. Any thought that flashes through our mind can turn into our master. Are we familiar with this truth? Absolutely. It is not without reason that there is a saying, thoughts possess our minds, and thus ourselves. Thoughts are projected into the outside world, causing us to act this way and not that way. Want proof? Remember the saying, we are slaves to our own desires. Our desires are a mirror reflecting the power of thoughts over us. Take, for example, the desire to own a car. Started as a fleeting idea, it grows stronger with each new thought devoted to it. Eventually, this desire takes over our entire being. From that moment on, our whole life begins to revolve around it. Thoughts, feelings, actions, everything is subordinated to this newfound purpose. And this is just one of countless examples of how the lust for possession, the desire to control people and circumstances, permeates our lives. The question arises, do we really have power over our desires? Or does it come to a point when they consume us, subjugate us to their will, and begin to manipulate us like puppets in the hands of an experienced puppeteer? How does it happen that having gained power, the thought begins to control us? There are two main scenarios in our programming. The first is a sudden situation, often connected with the instinct of self-preservation. Let's say you walk into an entryway and are confronted with something frightening. A surge of powerful emotions caused by this event, instantly and firmly imprinted in your memory that it is dangerous to enter the entrance. And the next time you cross its threshold, you will involuntarily tense up, feeling fear, and thus only fueling it. The second option is the constant repetition of the same thought or feeling. We continuously repeat something to ourselves, consciously or subconsciously. For example, while talking to your buddies, you discuss prices, complain about the difficulties of life, the lack of money. Active participation in such discussions only strengthens negative attitudes in your consciousness. Life is a struggle. Money is always in short supply. Power is not capable of anything, and other things in the same vein. Over time, these ideas begin to dominate your worldview, projecting onto the surrounding reality and shaping it according to their dull molds. Eventually, you'll really run into financial shortfalls and difficulties on life's journey. And even if the political landscape changes and your wallet gets fatter, the way of thinking will remain the same because this malicious program is already firmly planted in your subconscious. Constant scrolling of the same thoughts sends them straight into the bowels of our mind, where they acquire a frightening independence, beginning to dictate to us a model of behavior and control our actions. The outside world becomes a mirror reflecting these dark pictures. Once a woman, reluctant to give money to her son for fear that it would negatively affect him, invariably responded to all his requests, "We have no money." After some time, she was surprised to find that the money had really evaporated. It was gone. Having experience in working with thought forms, she stopped such answers to her son and changed the course of her thoughts. Finances returned to her life. Thoughts have an amazing property. Being in our consciousness or subconsciousness, being an integral part of ourselves, they completely form our perception and vision of the world. We look at every incident in one or another sphere of our life through the prism of a certain thought. It is as if we put on glasses of different colors and shapes in each case. However, we do not notice this process. Man is deprived of the ability to see it unless he has undergone special training. The only sign that hints that some thought has begun to control us are the situations unfolding in our lives at the moment. It is they, being the outward manifestation, that serve as an accurate reflection of what is going on inside of us. As soon as something begins to happen in our lives, it is a sure sign that the corresponding thought has come to the forefront and is modeling the current situation. Looking at the world through the lens of a particular thought, such as I'm struggling financially, inevitably leads to constant confirmation of that idea. We see evidence of lack of money over and over again, focusing solely on these situations. Like a snowball, this thought gains momentum, generating a series of similar circumstances that, in turn, reinforce its truth. A vicious circle is formed where the thought seems to build itself, renewing and intensifying with each turn. And it really does. In certain cases, uncontrolled thought can grow to frightening proportions, transforming into an obsession. This is how obsession is born, when one finds oneself at the mercy of an agonizing, all-consuming belief. Only the power of thought can give us true power in this world. Undoubtedly, some might argue that wealth is the true source of power. However, I would disagree. After all, even money is subject to thought. Having thought of purchasing something, we go in search of earning money. When we decide to help someone, we offer financial support if it is needed. Alas, people often use the help of money to do evil. Hence, money is a tool, not an end in itself. It is a tool capable of exerting a subtle influence both on the outside world and on ourselves. So why do we so often fail to get what we want? The answer is simple. We do not have a clear idea of our true desires. Instead of a clear and formalized thought, amorphous, ephemeral images like clouds wander inside us. Before you get something, you should ask yourself two important questions. Do you really want this thing, and are you ready to make an effort to get it? I will assume that if you still don't have something you've been dreaming about for a long time, it means that you haven't decided whether you really need it or not. To put it simply, you do not feel a strong need for this thing, you do not strive for it with all your heart, and are not ready to act. Does this statement hurt you? Does it make you resentful? You need this thing so badly, and here you are making such a statement. It's a natural reaction, and yet there is some truth to it. Try now to look inside yourself and honestly analyze your desires, intentions, and desire to possess something. You will find a gap, an inconsistency. It is through this gap that the energy needed to achieve the goal and get what you want is leaking out. Let's consider the following case. A woman complained about her desire to have a separate dwelling, tired of the communal apartment. However, I will note that it is she who is preventing the realization of her desire. When I asked her about her childhood, she told me that she grew up in a communal apartment. That's when the essence of the problem was revealed. Her childhood spent in a communal apartment had formed a subconscious belief that these were normal living conditions. This deep-rooted attitude created a pattern of perception that now prevents her from making a real effort to change. Moving to a separate apartment will only be possible when she really wants it. Thus, the first step to achieving a goal is unwavering determination, burning desire, and a firm intention to possess what you want. Next, it is necessary to clearly define what exactly you need. Working with a thought is like the art of a jeweler who cuts a diamond into granite. Every facet of the idea must be polished to achieve the desired result. Think back, friend. How often have you acquired unnecessary items? A shirt, pants, a dress? Everything happened according to the same scenario. At first, the desire to update the closet was born. Someone you know offered a variant, but soon it turned out that it was not the same. Something did not suit the purchase. And the reason is that the diamond of thought was not cut. There was no clear understanding of what exactly you need. Instead, there was an amorphous thought inside you, a desire to buy something new. As a result, you bought the thing and then hid it away so you wouldn't see it or feel negative emotions. Let's say you need a new suit. Think carefully about its style. Imagine where and when you will wear it. Determine the desired texture, size, color, and other parameters. Ask yourself as many questions as possible about what you want to get. The more precisely you formulate your desire, the more satisfaction you will experience when it comes true. This principle applies to all things, both material and abstract, such as relationships between people. Let me repeat. We don't have something because we either don't want it, or we are not ready for it, or we don't fully understand what we need. The power of thought forms the foundation of our world, determining our karma. It's important to be mindful of what we are thinking and be able to switch so we don't feed negative thoughts. The essence of karma is that every thought, whether on a conscious or subconscious level, inevitably leads to action. And every action has consequences to which we react, creating an endless cycle. However, by changing our thoughts, we can also change our karma. Liberation from karma is possible through consciously eliminating thoughts or developing non-attachment to them. Every event has a root cause. This rule also works with our thoughts, beliefs, fears, and problems. They can be inherited from parents or ancestors, internalized from the world around us, created by us or imposed from the outside, as for example with the evil eye. In the latter case, the question arises, why do we become vulnerable to such influence? Why the evil eye acts selectively? It is because some people have inner fears thoughts, which weaken their protective barrier, allowing someone else's energy of evil eye to penetrate into their energy field. Fears in principle always make us weaker. For example, if a person is afraid of getting sick with a particular disease, the protective field in that area of their body weakens, opening access for germs. Fear of illness negatively affects the immune system. Thus, fear affects both the physical body and the energy of the person. If you now think that you have never experienced such fears, but still got sick, there is a simple explanation for that too. Your thoughts and fears about yourself and the world have gradually led you to this state. In the appendix at the end of the book, you will find a visual confirmation of this process. Thought ultimately shapes the corresponding reality, and our task is to learn how to control that reality. That thought is our own. The lesson we must learn is to overcome a difficult situation and come out of it stronger and wiser. If you think too often that your failures are due to mistakes made in past lives, you risk falling into another trap. It is inherent in a human being not to keep memories of previous incarnations or destinies of ancestors. So, nurturing such thoughts, you risk feeling helpless in the face of difficulties. The question about past lives, in my opinion, has no practical value, because in most cases it only masks the true cause of the problem, confuses and takes away the strength to act independently. The laws of this life are such that you are able to overcome any obstacles regardless of their source or culprit. Act decisively and help will surely come. All situations we find ourselves in are lessons meant for our development. If we have not put enough effort into a particular problem, it will haunt us until the lesson is learned. But once that happens, help will immediately appear and the situation will resolve itself. And it will never happen again. The next stage of learning will begin. This is the key to understanding how to deal with hardship and illness. The principle of our interaction with the world around us can be compared to a Mobius strip. Take a strip of paper and glue its ends together, having previously turned one of them upside down. Now put your finger on the inside of the strip and start moving it along the surface. After a while, you will find that you are on the outside without crossing the edges of the tape. When did this happen? You won't be able to pinpoint the exact moment of transition. When you make the return trip, you will find yourself on the inside again. It's impossible to capture the moment when we go from the inside to the outside and vice versa. This is how I think our inner self and the outer world interact. This is how thought works, materializing from the inside out. Thought has no boundaries. It is simultaneously present both inside and outside, only in the form of a situation, a problem, a physical form. By studying external manifestations, one can understand what is going on in the human soul. Thought, like a magnet, has the power of attraction. Even though it is impossible to measure its influence in exact values, careful observation of the course of our life proves it undeniably. It can even be argued that it is this magnetic nature of thought that forms the karma that accompanies us inevitably on the path of life. As long as we keep certain thoughts within us, they will attract corresponding situations into our lives. By analyzing the events we encounter, we get the opportunity to look inside ourselves, to realize what beliefs drive us. Once realized, we can change our thoughts and, as a result, avoid repeating undesirable scenarios in the future.